The stars had always been quiet. For 300 years, humanity had looked up at the night sky and wondered if they were alone. They built telescopes. They sent probes. They listened for signals. But the universe gave them nothing but silence, until the day at DNO's. Captain Unikong stood on the bridge of the orbital station Haniel 1, watching the morning shift change happen below her. She was a small woman with sharp eyes and black hair pulled back tight. At 42 years old, she had served in the United Earth Fleet for 20 years. She had seen pirates, rebellions, and disasters. But she had never seen anything like what appeared on her screen that morning. "Captain," said Lieutenant Tai-Ho Park, his voice shaking slightly, "we have contact. Multiple contacts. Big ones." Yuna walked to his station and looked at the readings. Her blood went cold. 12 ships had appeared at the edge of the solar system. But these were not human ships. They were massive beyond belief. The smallest one was the size of a small moon. The largest was bigger than anything humanity had ever built. They moved through space with a grace that seemed impossible for objects so large. "How did they get here?" Yuna asked quietly. "I don't know, Captain. They just appeared. No hyperspace signature. No engine trail. They were simply not there. And then they were." Yuna took a deep breath. This was it. First contact. The moment humanity had dreamed about and feared for centuries, and it was happening on her watch. "Open a channel," she said. "All frequencies. Let them know we see them." Before Tai-Ho could respond, the main screen flickered. Static filled the bridge for a moment, and then a face appeared. But it was not a human face. The creature had gray skin stretched tight over a skull that was too long. Its eyes were like black pools with no whites. When it spoke, its mouth moved in ways that didn't match the words that came through the speakers. "Primitive species of the third planet," the creature said. Its voice was cold, like metal scraping against stone. "I am High Arbiter Volos of the Galactic Dominion. You have been discovered." Yuna said nothing. She stood perfectly still, her hands clasped behind her back. "For 12,000 of your years, the Dominion has ruled this galaxy," Volos continued. "We have brought order to chaos. We have crushed those who resisted. We have made peace through absolute power. And now your species has drawn our attention." The screen changed to show images. Human ships. Human stations. Human weapons being tested in deep space. "You have violated 17 articles of the Galactic Code," Volos said. "You have developed weapons without permission. You have expanded beyond your designated zone. You have failed to submit to Dominion oversight. These are crimes punishable by extinction." Yuna felt the fear in the room. Her crew was terrified. She could see Tai-Ho's hands shaking on his console. She could hear the rapid breathing of the officers behind her, but she did not let her own fear show. A captain never shows fear. However, Volos continued, "The Dominion is merciful. We offer you a choice. You have 30 rotations to disarm your weapons, pay tribute to the Dominion, and accept a governor to rule your world. Do this, and your species will be allowed to live as servants. Refuse, and you will be erased from existence. Every man, woman, and child on your planet will die. Your cities will burn. Your history will be forgotten. It will be as if you never existed at all." The transmission ended. The screen went dark. Silence filled the bridge. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. They were all waiting for their captain to react. Yuna walked slowly to her chair and sat down. She crossed one leg over the other and rested her chin on her hand. For a long moment, she simply stared at the blank screen. "Captain," Tai-Ho asked, his voice barely a whisper, "what do we do?" Yuna thought about Earth. She thought about the billions of people going about their lives, unaware that their entire existence had just been threatened. She thought about her mother, who still lived in a small house by the sea. She thought about the children playing in parks, the farmers working their fields, the artists creating beauty, the scientists chasing truth. And she thought about what it would mean to kneel, to surrender everything humanity had built, to become servants to creatures who saw them as nothing more than insects, send a reply, she said finally. Tai-Ho blinked. A reply? What should I say? Yuna smiled. It was not a friendly smile. It was the smile of someone who had made a decision and would not be moved from it. Tell them we appreciate the visit. Tell them we understand their position. And tell them that while we're sure their laws are very impressive, we have our own. Tai-Ho stared at her. Captain, they have ships the size of moons. They've ruled the galaxy for 12,000 years. They could destroy us without effort. Maybe, Yuna said. Or maybe they've never met anyone like us. Send the message, Lieutenant. Tai-Ho swallowed hard. Then he turned to his console and began typing. When he finished, he read it back. To the Galactic Dominion. Thank you for your message. We understand your laws apply to many species across the galaxy. However, Earth has its own laws. Laws about freedom. Laws about never surrendering. Laws about standing up for ourselves even when we are afraid. We will not disarm. We will not pay tribute. We will not accept a governor. If you want our submission, you will have to come and take it. Yuna nodded. Send it. The message flew across the void of space. Millions of kilometers away, on the bridge of the Eternal Decree, High Arbiter Volos received it. He read it 3 times. Certain there must be a translation error. There was no error. For the first time in centuries, someone had said no to the Dominion, and they had done it with a smile. Volos stood up from his throne, his black eyes burning with cold fury. Prepare the fleet, he commanded. These humans need a lesson in respect. The war for Earth had begun. High Arbiter Volos had lived for over 2,000 years. In that time, he had watched countless species rise and fall. He had seen empires crumble to dust. He had ordered the death of billions without losing a single night of sleep. He was fear itself, wrapped in gray skin and cold eyes. But the message from Earth bothered him. It was not anger he felt. Anger would suggest the humans mattered enough to make him emotional. It was something else. Something like curiosity. In all his years, no primitive species had ever responded to the Dominion's ultimatum with anything but terror. They begged. They cried. They offered everything they had for just a few more years of life. These humans had told him no. Worse, they had sounded almost amused. Perhaps they do not understand their situation, said Commander Theron, Velos's second-in-command. Perhaps they are simply too stupid to feel fear. Volos considered this. No, he said slowly. There was something else in that message. Confidence. They were not bluffing. They believe they can resist us. Possible. Their technology is primitive. Their fleet is small. We could destroy their entire civilization in a matter of hours. Yes, Volos agreed. We could. And perhaps we should give them a demonstration. Something to help them understand what they are facing. He pulled up a map of the human solar system. His long finger pointed to a small moon near the edge of their space. There, he said. That moon is uninhabited but sits within their claimed territory. We will destroy it. When they see what our weapons can do, they will understand that resistance is meaningless. Commander Theron smiled. A wise decision, High Arbiter. I will prepare the primary cannon. The Dominion fleet moved through space like a swarm of metal insects. 300 warships, each one carrying enough firepower to destroy a planet. They had conquered 1,000 worlds with this fleet. They had never lost a battle. They did not know how to lose. As they approached the target moon, Volos felt satisfied. This would be simple. A demonstration of power, followed by the humans' surrender, followed by their absorption into the Dominion as slaves. It was how things always went. But then something happened that had never happened before. High Arbiter, said the sensor officer, his voice suddenly tight. We have a contact. Directly behind us. Volos turned. Behind us? How? Nothing was there a moment ago. I know, High Arbiter. But something is there now. A single ship. Small. Human design. Volos felt that strange feeling again. The one he had almost forgotten. Was this fear? He pushed it away. Show me. The main screen shifted to show the space behind the fleet. And there it was. A human vessel, sleek and white, hovering in the darkness like a ghost. It was small compared to the Dominion ships. It should have looked ridiculous, like a fish trying to threaten a whale, but something about it made Volos's skin crawl. How did it get there? He demanded. There was no hyperspace signature, no engine trail. It simply appeared. No one had an answer. A communication came through. Volos accepted it, and a human face appeared on his screen. A young man with calm eyes and a slight smile. He wore a military uniform with a name tag that read Ru. "Good morning," the human said pleasantly. "My name is Commander Minho Ru, and this is the UEF Baiko. I noticed you were heading toward one of our moons. I thought I should let you know that it's under Earth's protection." Volos stared at him. "You dare threaten us?" "One ship against 300. I'm not threatening anyone," Minho said. "I'm just informing you. That moon belongs to us. If you fire on it, there will be consequences." Commander Theron laughed. "This is madness. One human ship thinks it can stop the Dominion fleet. Destroy him. High Arbiter. Show them what happens to insects who challenge gods." Volos hesitated for just a moment. Something was wrong here. Something he could not understand. But Theron was right. To show weakness now would be unacceptable. "Fire," he commanded. The Dominion flagship's weapons lit up. Beams of energy that could cut through mountains flew toward the tiny human ship. Every officer on the bridge watched, expecting to see the vessel explode into a million pieces. But the Baiko did not explode. Instead, a shimmering barrier appeared around it. The Dominion's weapons struck the barrier and simply stopped. They hung in the air for a moment, frozen like insects in amber. And then they turned around and flew back toward the Dominion fleet. The energy that hit the Baiko's shield came back twice as strong. 3 Dominion cruisers were struck directly. They exploded instantly, breaking apart like toys smashed by an angry child. Fire bloomed in the darkness of space, and then faded to nothing. Silence filled the bridge of the eternal decree. Volos could not move, could not speak. 3 of his ships were gone, destroyed by their own weapons, and the human vessel hung in space, completely undamaged, as if nothing had happened. Minho's face reappeared on the screen. He was not smiling anymore. "That was your one warning," he said quietly. "The next time you fire on anything belonging to Earth, we will not be so gentle. Go back to your masters. Tell them what you saw here. Tell them that humanity is not what they think we are. And tell them that if they want a war, we will give them one they will never forget." The transmission ended. Volos sat in his throne, his ancient hands gripping the armrest so hard that his gray knuckles turned white. Around him, his officers were frozen with shock. In 12,000 years, no one had ever done this to the Dominion. No one had ever made them look weak. "High Arbiter," Theron whispered. "What do we do?" Volos did not answer immediately. He was thinking about what he had just witnessed. Technology that should not exist. Power that made no sense. A species that should have been nothing but dirt beneath his feet, standing against him without fear. "We return to Dominion Prime," he said finally. "We tell the Council what has happened. And then we come back with a fleet so large that no shield, no matter how powerful, can stop us." He looked at the screen, where the Baiko still waited like a silent guardian. "These humans want war," he said. "They will have it. And they will learn that no one defies the Dominion and survives." But even as he spoke, a small voice in the back of his mind whispered something he had not heard in 2,000 years. What if we are the ones who will not survive? The throne world of Dominion Prime was a place of cold beauty. Its towers reached toward the sky like the fingers of giants. Its streets were paved with stone taken from 1,000 conquered worlds. At its heart stood the Great Hall, where the Galactic Council had ruled for 12,000 years. The Council was made up of 12 species. Each one had joined the Dominion long ago, either by choice or by force. Over time, they had forgotten the difference. They had become rulers themselves, sitting in judgment over the younger species of the galaxy. They had grown fat on power and lazy from the lack of challenge, and now they were angry. "This is impossible," declared High Lord Mecher, a creature of scales and fire. A primitive species destroyed 3 of our warships. I do not believe it. The evidence is clear, said High Arbiter Volos, standing before the council. His voice was steady, but inside he burned with shame. Their technology is beyond anything we have encountered. Their shields reflected our weapons back at us with increased power, and their ship appeared without any known method of travel. Then where did they get this technology? Demanded Lady Saphira, a being of crystal and light. Species do not simply develop such power on their own. Someone must have helped them. The council murmured in agreement. This was the only explanation that made sense. Some other power must have given the humans these weapons, perhaps an enemy of the Dominion, working in secret. It does not matter where they got it, Volos said. What matters is what we do now. I recommend we gather the Grand Fleet. 5,000 ships from every member species. We descend on their world with such force that no technology can save them. The council considered this. 5,000 ships had never been assembled before. It would be the largest military action in galactic history. But the humans had embarrassed the Dominion. That crime could not go unpunished. Before they could vote, a message arrived. High Lords, announced a servant, his head bowed low. A human ship has entered our space. They carry a diplomat who wishes to speak with the council. The room went silent. A diplomat? Lady Saphira repeated. They dare send a diplomat after attacking our fleet. They claim they come in peace, the servant said. They say they wish to negotiate. High Lord Mecher laughed, and smoke poured from his throat. Negotiate with us? They must be insane. But Volos was curious. What kind of species challenged an empire, destroyed its ships, and then asked to talk? These humans were strange beyond his understanding. Let them come, Volos said. Let us see what they have to say. And then, when they are finished, we will show them what the Dominion does to those who stand against us. 1 hour later, Admiral Hannah Cho walked into the Great Hall. She was a woman of 60 years, but she moved like someone half her age. Her uniform was perfectly pressed, every metal in its proper place. Behind her walked 4 soldiers in full combat armor, their faces hidden behind black helmets. They carried no visible weapons, but somehow they looked more dangerous than any armed soldier the council had ever seen. Hannah stopped in the center of the hall. She looked up at the 12 towering thrones where the council sat, each member staring down at her with hatred and contempt. She did not bow. Thank you for receiving me, she said. Her voice was calm and clear. I am Admiral Hannah Cho, representing the people of Earth. I am here to discuss the future of our relationship. High Lord Mecher leaned forward, his eyes blazing. You have no future. Your species attacked our ships. You've killed thousands of our soldiers. And now you come here, speaking of negotiation? You should be on your knees, begging for mercy. Hannah tilted her head slightly. Should I? I was not aware that we had done anything wrong. Your ships entered our space without permission. They threatened to destroy one of our moons. My colleague, Commander Rue, simply defended our territory. If anyone should be apologizing, it is you. The council erupted in outrage. Voices shouted over each other. Fists slammed against armrests. The room shook with fury, but Hannah did not move. She stood perfectly still, waiting for the noise to fade. When it finally did, Lady Saphira spoke. Her voice was like breaking glass. You are very brave, human, or very foolish. You stand in the heart of our power, surrounded by enemies, and you speak to us as if we are equals. Do you not understand what we could do to you? I understand perfectly, Hannah replied. You could kill me. You could destroy my ship. You could send your fleet to Earth and try to burn my world. You have the power to do all of these things, she paused. But you would not win. Silence. Volos leaned forward. Explain yourself. Hannah looked at him directly. Her eyes showed no fear. For 300 years, we have watched the stars and wondered what we would find. We knew that someday, something like you would come. Something ancient. Something powerful. Something that would look at us and see, pray. So we prepared. She began to walk slowly, circling the center of the room. The guards followed her like shadows. We developed technology in secret. We built ships that you cannot see. We created weapons that you cannot understand. We trained soldiers who do not know how to surrender. And we made a promise to ourselves. A promise that no matter what came from the darkness between the stars, humanity would never kneel. High Lord Mecher stood, fire dancing around his body. You are lying. You are primitives. You have nothing that can challenge us. Hannah stopped walking. She turned to face him. Are you certain? She asked softly. Because High Arbiter Volo seems less confident than you. He saw what our ship could do. He watched his weapons turned against him. He felt something he had forgotten how to feel. She looked at Volos. Fear. You felt fear, didn't you? Volo said nothing. But his silence was answer enough. You have a choice? Hannah continued. You can accept that the galaxy is changing. That humanity is not a species to be conquered, but a species to be respected. You can open diplomatic relations with us as equals. You can learn from us as we would learn from you. You can build a new future together. She paused. Or you can gather your 5,000 ships and come to Earth, and we will show you exactly what humanity is capable of. She smiled. Either way, we are ready. Council stared at her. 12 ancient species, rulers of the galaxy. Looking at a single human woman who had walked into their throne room and refused to bow, High Lord Mecher raised his hand. Fire gathered in his palm. I should kill you where you stand. Hannah did not flinch. You could try, but my guards are faster than you think. And even if you succeeded, it would change nothing. Humanity would still be waiting for you, and we would be very, very angry. For a long moment, no one moved. Then Volo spoke. Leave, Admiral. Take your guards and your arrogance and go back to your little world. Tell your people that the Dominion is coming. And when we arrive, there will be no more negotiations. Only destruction. Hannah nodded once. As you wish. But remember this conversation, High Arbiter. Remember that we gave you a chance. Remember that you chose war. She turned and walked toward the door. Just before she left, she looked back over her shoulder. We were hoping you would say that, and then she was gone. The council sat in silence for a long time. Finally, Lady Saphira spoke. Assemble the Grand Fleet. It is time to remind the galaxy what happens to those who challenge the Dominion. But even as the orders were given, a cold certainty had taken root in Volus's heart. He had seen the look in Hannah's eyes. He had heard the truth in her voice. The humans were not afraid, and that terrified him. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, in a facility that officially did not exist, Fleet Admiral Daeho Yoon stood before the largest window he had ever seen. Beyond the glass, a cavern stretched into darkness. But the darkness was not empty. Ships filled the space. Hundreds of them. Thousands of them. Row after row of vessels that had been built in secret over 200 years. They hung in silence, waiting for the order that would bring them to life. Admiral, said a voice behind him, the Dominion fleet has been spotted entering the outer solar system. 5,000 ships. The largest force ever assembled in galactic history. Daeho did not turn around. He was a tall man with gray hair and a face carved from stone. He had spent his entire life preparing for this moment. He asked, civilian evacuation is complete. Every city on Earth has been emptied. The population has been moved to the secure colonies through the Gate Network. Daeho nodded. The Gate Network. Humanity's greatest secret? For 2 centuries, Earth's scientists had discovered a way to fold space itself, creating doorways that connected distant stars in an instant. They had built colonies on 17 worlds, each one hidden from the galaxy's eyes. They had grown their population, built their industry, and prepared for war. The Dominion thought they were coming to destroy a single planet. They had no idea what was waiting for them. Open a channel to all ships, Daeho commanded, and bring the fleet to battle stations. Throughout the hidden shipyard, lights began to flicker on. Engines hummed to life. Thousands of men and women rushed to their stations, their hearts pounding with a mixture of fear and excitement. They had trained for this day their entire lives. Now it was finally here. Daeho walked to the central platform where his command team waited. Captain Unikong was there, the woman who had first told the Dominion no. Commander Minho Ryu stood beside her, the pilot who had shown them what Earth could do. Admiral Hannah Cho had returned from Dominion Prime, having delivered humanity's final warning, Yuna said, a slight smile on her face. They actually came. I was almost hoping they would change their minds. Creatures like that don't change their minds, Hannah replied. They have ruled through fear for too long. The idea of backing down is unthinkable to them. Then we will have to think for them, Daeho said. He activated the fleet-wide communication system. This is Fleet Admiral Yoon speaking. Today, the Dominion comes to destroy humanity. They bring 5,000 ships and the arrogance of 12,000 years. They believe we are primitives to be crushed. They are wrong. His voice echoed through every ship, reaching every soldier. For 300 years we have waited in silence. We built our strength in secret. We created weapons that the galaxy has never seen. We trained our people to fight with courage and honor. And we made a simple promise to ourselves and to our children: humanity will never kneel. Today, we keep that promise. He paused, letting the words sink in. When our ancestors first looked up at the stars, they dreamed of the day when humanity would join the galactic community, but they did not dream of slavery. They did not dream of bowing to masters. They dreamed of standing tall, of earning respect through strength and wisdom. Today, we make that dream real.
Ow.
Daeho looked at the fleet around him. 2,000 ships, each one carrying humans who had chosen to fight rather than surrender. Gauge the gate network. Take us to Earth, and show the Dominion what happens when they threaten our home. Across the hidden colonies, massive rings of metal and light activated. Space itself bent and twisted, forming tunnels through the void. And through those tunnels came humanity's true power. The Dominion fleet had entered the Sol system, expecting to find a single planet defended by a handful of ships. What they found was something else entirely. High Arbiter Volos stood on the bridge of the Eternal Decree. Watching his sensors with disbelief, ships were appearing all around Earth. Not dozens, not hundreds. Thousands of vessels emerging from points of folded space, taking up defensive positions around the blue planet. That is impossible, Commander Theron whispered. Where did they come from? How do they have so many ships? Volos could not answer. His mind was struggling to process what he was seeing. The humans had not just one secret weapon. They had an entire empire. An empire that had grown in the shadows while the Dominion looked elsewhere. Hi, Arbiter, the communications officer called out. We are receiving a transmission from the human flagship.
Ow.
Volos felt cold, but he straightened his spine and nodded. Put it through. Screen showed a human bridge far more advanced than anything the Dominion had ever encountered. In the center stood a tall man with gray hair and eyes like steel. Behind him, Volos recognized the 3 humans who had already humiliated the Dominion. The captain, who had said no. The commander who had destroyed his ships. And the admiral who had dared to speak as an equal. Hi, Arbiter Volos, the gray-haired man said. I am Fleet Admiral Daeho Yoon, commander of the United Earth Fleet. I believe you have come to destroy my world. Volos found his voice. You have hidden your true strength from us. You have deceived the Dominion. Yes, Daeho agreed. We have. For 200 years, we watched the galaxy. We saw how the Dominion treated the species it conquered. We saw the slavery, the oppression, the extinction of entire cultures. And we decided that would never be our fate. He stepped closer to the screen. You thought we were primitives, hiding on one small world. You never asked what we were really doing. You never wondered why we were so calm when your ships appeared. The answer is simple. We were not afraid because we knew what we had built. An empire of 17 worlds. A fleet of 2,000 ships. Technology that makes yours look like toys. And soldiers who would rather die than surrender. Volos looked at the human fleet surrounding Earth. His 5,000 ships still outnumbered them. But the technology gap was clear. And the humans had something else. something he could see in their eyes. They were not afraid. Still have a chance to leave, Deho continued. Turn your fleet around. Go back to Dominion Prime. Tell the Council that humanity is not to be conquered. We will not attack you. We will not seek revenge. We only want to be left in peace. Volos considered the offer. His hands were trembling slightly. Fear whispered in his mind, telling him to retreat, to live, to fight another day. But pride was stronger than fear. It always had been. The Dominion does not retreat, he said. We do not show weakness. If we leave now, every species in the galaxy will think they can challenge us. The order we have built will crumble. That cannot be allowed. Deho nodded slowly. I understand. You are trapped by your own history. You cannot imagine a universe where you are not supreme. I pity you, High Arbiter. Save your pity for your own people, Volos replied. They will need it. No, Deho said quietly. They won't, because today, the galaxy will learn the truth about humanity. We are not slaves. We are not victims. We are not primitives to be crushed under your heel. We are warriors. We are dreamers. We are survivors. And we never ever give up. He raised his hand. All ships. This is Fleet Admiral Yoon. The Dominion has refused to retreat. You know what to do? He looked directly at Volos. Welcome to Earth. I hope you survive the experience. The screen went dark, and across the cold void of space, 2,000 human ships moved forward to meet 5,000 enemies. The war for the galaxy had begun. The war lasted 11 months. In that time, the galaxy was forever changed. The Dominion, which had stood unchallenged for 12,000 years, discovered what it meant to face an enemy that would not break. They had numbers on their side. They had experience. They had the resources of 1,000 worlds. But humanity had something else. They had rage for centuries. Species across the galaxy had suffered under the Dominion's rule. They had watched their cultures erased, their people enslaved, their spirits crushed. And now, for the first time, they saw someone fighting back. Someone who was winning. Rebellions erupted on 100 worlds. Slave colonies rose against their masters. Species that had been enemies for generations united against their common oppressor. What began as humanity's fight became the galaxy's fight. And at the center of it all stood Captain Unicong. She had become a symbol. The woman who first said no. Her face appeared on rebel broadcasts across the stars. Her words were repeated by freedom fighters on distant planets. Children whispered her name like a prayer, Kong Yuna, the one who refused to kneel. By the 8th month, the Dominion was in full retreat. Their mighty fleet had been reduced to less than half its original strength. Their throne world was under siege. Their council was fractured, with some members trying to negotiate surrender while others demanded one final desperate stand. High Arbiter Volos was among those who refused to give up. He gathered his remaining ships at Dominion Prime for a last battle. 300 vessels against humanity's advancing forces. It was hopeless, and he knew it. But he could not accept defeat. His entire existence had been built on the certainty that the Dominion was supreme. Without that certainty, he was nothing. The final battle lasted 6 hours. It ended when Commander Minho Ru's ship, the Baiko, cut through the Dominion's defensive lines and disabled the Eternal Decree. The ancient flagship lost power, its weapons falling silent, its shields collapsing. It drifted in space like a dying whale, surrounded by the wreckage of the empire it had served. When Captain Yuna boarded the vessel to accept the surrender, she found Volos sitting on his throne. He had not moved since the battle ended. He simply sat there, his black eyes staring at nothing.
High Arbiter, Yuna said.
Your fleet is destroyed. Your empire has fallen. By the authority of the United Earth Fleet and the Free Species Alliance, I am here to accept your surrender. Volos did not look at her. How? He asked, his voice barely a whisper. How did you defeat us? We have ruled for 12,000 years. We have crushed every species that ever challenged us. How did you, a people we had never heard of, bring us to our knees? Yuna walked closer. She stopped in front of his throne and looked up at the creature who had once threatened to erase her entire species from existence. "Do you really want to know?" she asked. He finally met her eyes. Yes. Yuna considered the question carefully. She thought about everything humanity had been through. The wars, the disasters, the times they had nearly destroyed themselves. The dark periods of history when it seemed like all hope was lost. "We have a saying on Earth," she said quietly. "That which does not kill us makes us stronger." Every hardship, every failure, every moment of despair, we turned into fuel. We learned from our mistakes. We grew from our pain. We became better, stronger, more determined. She paused. But more than that, we never forgot what we were fighting for. Not power, not glory, not revenge. We fought for each other, for our families, for our children, for the simple right to live free. That is something your species forgot long ago, High Arbiter. You ruled through fear, and fear only works until someone refuses to be afraid. She extended her hand. The Dominion is over. But that does not mean your people have to suffer. Surrender now, and we will build something new together. Something based on freedom, not slavery. On cooperation, not domination. You can be part of that future, or you can die here clinging to the past. The choice is yours. Volo stared at her hand. For 2,000 years, he had believed that strength meant crushing others, that power meant making them bow, that victory meant being feared. But this human stood before him, offering mercy instead of revenge. She had every reason to hate him. He had threatened her world, her people, everything she loved, and yet here she was, hand extended, ready to help him stand. Perhaps he thought. This was what true strength looked like. Slowly, painfully, High Arbiter Volos rose from his throne. He was very old now, his body weakened by centuries of arrogance and isolation. He walked to where Yuna stood, and for the first time in his existence, he bowed his head. "I surrender," he said. "Not because I am forced to, but because I finally understand. The Dominion was wrong. We were wrong." Yuna nodded once. "Then let us build something better." 1 year later, the Galactic Federation was born. It was not built on fear or force. There were no masters and no slaves. Every species, from the greatest to the smallest, had an equal voice. Disputes were settled through discussion, not destruction. The strong protected the weak instead of exploiting them. Captain Unikong became the first human ambassador to the Federation. Commander Minhoru led the new peacekeeping fleet. Admiral Hannah Cho helped write the charter that guaranteed the rights of all sentient beings. Fleet Admiral Daeho Yoon retired to Earth, where he spent his days teaching young officers about the importance of courage and mercy, and on 100 worlds. Statues were raised, not of conquerors or kings, but of ordinary people who had refused to kneel. Humans and aliens, standing side by side, forever reaching toward the stars. High Arbiter Volos lived out his remaining years on Earth. A guest rather than a prisoner. He spent much of his time in libraries, reading about human history. He was fascinated by the stories of resistance and survival, of people who faced impossible odds and somehow prevailed. One day, a young girl found him sitting in a garden, watching the sunset. "You're the alien who tried to destroy us, aren't you?" she asked. Volos nodded slowly. "I am. Why did you stop?" He thought about the question for a long time. Then he smiled, something he had never done in 2,000 years. "Because a very brave woman taught me something important," he said. "She taught me that the strongest thing in the universe is not a weapon or a fleet or an empire. It is the simple refusal to give up on who you are." The girl nodded, as if this made perfect sense. Then she sat down beside him and watched the sun disappear behind the mountains. Somewhere above them, stars were coming out. The same stars that humanity had dreamed about for centuries. The same stars that had once seemed so far away, so impossible to reach. But humanity had reached them. And in doing so, they had changed everything. The galaxy had told them to kneel. They had refused, and now the galaxy was free.